You know those kids that when they're in an argument and they're starting to lose, they'll like bring up, oh, my mom does, or my dad is, or like something like that, or my dad works for, or my dad's a lawyer, man, or just imagine those kids, right? Imagine that kid. Multiply them by 100 and you have today's spoiled brat. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber who sent in the story, and by the way, you can send in stories too to my Instagram in the description, be featured on the channel, love to see it. Let's just call this kid Jake, right? Anyways, Jake, good kid. And in Jake's class, right, in Jake's class, there was a kid who was kind of the worst kid ever. I'm just kidding, I'm sure that there's someone worse, but he was the spoiled brat kid that I gave a brief description for in the beginning. Let's call this guy Thomas, right, Thomas. And then there's another girl in the class, and this girl, her name's Emma. Emma's pretty crucial to the story, but that'll become a little bit more apparent in just a second. Anyways, right, so just a little backstory before we go into what Thomas did, his crazy mental breakdown explosion, calling my dad on literally everything, and whatever, right, you'll see in a second. But a little bit of a backstory, right? So Jake, the kid who sent in the story, and this girl, Emma, they pretty obviously had feelings for each other, like they were always like friends, but it was very clear that like, they were not about to stay friends for long. They were either going to have a massive explosion and never talk to each other ever again, or they were gonna like date, marry, have 6 kids, send 2 kids off to college, start a Roth IRA, start mining Bitcoin as all couples do. You know, it was gonna be either or, and it was really looking like Jake was gonna ask her out pretty soon. Like everybody in the class knew this, except Thomas, because Thomas didn't have a lot of friends, so we'll put it that way. But it was kind of due to him being a jerk face. I don't know how else to put it, man. I don't know how else to put it. It just is what it is. Anyways, right, so, Jake, he's in class one day. And, at this point, he kind of has, like, plans to ask Emma out at some point this week, right? He knows he's going to do it. And the thing is, like, everybody knows he's going to do it, too. Even, like, Emma is, like, 98% sure because people who talk to Jake talk to her. Secrets, they don't last long. Secrets are no fun unless you share them with me, not anyone else, just me. But anyways, right, so he was kind of thinking about this in the back of his head, so he was kind of having a good time. It was a fun week. Things were looking good. But then, this kid Thomas, right? Thomas had a reputation for being that kid who was like, no one ever said no, right? He had a lot of, resources and completely abused them, right? He would come in and he would like, if someone had like something new, he would get the new thing +1 or like with more storage or just slightly newer or slightly cooler. And while he wouldn't like blatantly, like I've talked about kids in the past that have blatantly been like, haha, my phone is better than yours because it has like, it's slightly bigger or has like another camera or something, or it's newer. Thomas would never be that blatant about it, but it was very apparent that whenever someone got something, that Thomas the next day would get something that was just a little bit better, that it was 100% on purpose. Like this kid was definitely knew what he's doing. So one day when Jake was in class, and remember, he's at this point kind of planning to ask out Emma. Emma knows, the whole class knows, the teacher knows, like I know at this point, I'm just kidding. I have no idea who these people are, but anyways, right, they kind of know it, and he's chilling in class one day, and he overhears, Thomas. Thomas is going on one of his little rants. Because while Thomas wasn't always blatant about being a jerk, he could be very arrogant at times, such as like a couple weeks ago. He was like, guys, I'm not even gonna study for this test, man. I'm literally I'm just born different. And Thomas claimed to get 100 on the test, but, the thing is, one of the classmates did a little bit of an investigation by themselves and figured out that Thomas got a 42, which, look, these things happen, right? You try and avoid those. Sometimes tests are hard, but you never go around saying that you got 100. I mean, maybe you're like, oh, dude, I got a C on that test, and you actually, like, failed it. I'm fine with that. Like, whatever, dude. But don't go around saying you got 100 when you got a 42 or something. I don't know. Anyways, right, so Thomas was going on one of his little rants, and Jake decided to overhear what Thomas's rant was. And it was very kind of like awkward yet pretty funny for Jake because Thomas was talking about how Emma was in love with him. And at first Jake was like, bro, what? And Thomas was talking really loudly to this kid, and he was like, yeah, Emma, she's in love with me, man. She just can't, I see her all the time. She's looking over at me with these eyes. eyes of desire. And like, that's a quote, by the way. Like, sometimes I make up the lines for what these people are saying because I didn't get like a 50-page script, but that one was a quote, right? This was a quote, right? Jake told, or the subscriber who we're calling Jake, said that like this kid actually said like eyes of like desire or something crazy like that. So at this point, Jake is like, LOL, like what? And yeah, Thomas, the kid, spoiled brat kid, who you will see have a epic meltdown in just a second. Just give me a second, right? This kid then goes on to say that he's going to ask out Emma and that there's a 100% chance that she's going to say yes. And at this point, Jake is like, all right, I'm trying to find the betting house so I can make a bet on this 100% bet because I could probably get a pretty good reward for that, like probably some pretty good odds, or the odds would be terrible if it's really 100%. And I will definitely make some money on this bet. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, right, so Jake was sitting there. He's like, that's funny, haha. He didn't actually think Thomas was going to go through with it because Thomas in the past had made a lot of like very, very big claims. He's that kid who always like says things, but never really does them, right? He never really ends up like following through with the stuff. But, anyways, they get out of class and they're walking down the hallway and, Jake, the subscriber, he sees Emma and Emma's like, oh, hi, Jake, how's it going? And Jake is like, Emma, can we talk for a second? Because Jake was thinking to himself, he's like, you know what? I think I should just ask her out now. Like, I don't want her to like feel like to say yes to this kid just because she feels bad and then it's weird. And he said also like, why am I stringing her on? Like, why am I making this longer than it needs to be? So what he did is he did it really private, nothing really crazy. And he just took her aside and he's like, hey, we've been having a really, really good time together. Like, I've really enjoyed spending time with you. And he's like, I feel like we're not really friends right now and I want to make it official. And she was like all smiley and happy, man. I really have to make this part up because I don't have a lot of experience when it comes to, you know what? I'm not even going to go to that, man. One like equals one prayer for, my love life, but whatever, dude. Jake says something really sweet, like, I don't know, your feet are hot, LOL, XD. He says something like really sweet and just something a girl wants to hear, like what I just said. By the way, guys, feel free to use that banger on someone. It will 100% work. I'm as confident that it's going to work that I am as confident that this kid's not going to have a complete mental breakdown. And by mental breakdown, I mean Thomas having a complete rage. But anyways, right? But that's a joke. Don't actually use that line. I'm not liable if you get rejected or punched in the face. Don't actually use that line, guys. Anyways, right, so, Jake, he asked out Emma, and guess what? Emma said yes. Not a surprise at all. But anyways, right, so, they're walking out, and, good news, Jake just asked out Emma. She said yes. He's having a good time. People are like, Emma goes up to her group of friends and starts telling them like, ooh, kind of like, kind of fun, like high school drama stuff like that. Like, oh, yay, congrats, guys, whatever. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Thomas is not aware of this fact. I mean, first of all, she'd never say yes to Thomas because he's kind of a jerk. But Thomas, good guy, actually not good guy, but Thomas, right? He's not aware of this. Anyways, right, so you get out to the hall, and Jake is somewhere, like, Jake is kind of near, like, he's in the hallway, because it's, like, in between classes or whatever, or it's, like, during whatever. I don't know exactly the context, but for some reason, a bunch of kids were just, like, chilling somewhere. Maybe it's the hall, maybe it's out at, like, recess, maybe it's a common area. Either way, imagine a place where all these kids are at, and Thomas is there, and he sees Emma, and he's like, hey, Emma, can I talk to you for a second? And here's the thing, right? Emma was totally aware, like when Jake like called her aside, she knew exactly what was happening because they'd been kind of like talking for a week like that, like they had kind of been like that for a while. Either way, right, so when Thomas calls Emma aside, she had no idea what to expect. She had never talked to this kid before. The whole like Thomas telling people that she was in love with him. That just wasn't true, man. That just was not true. Anyways, right, so Thomas, he calls Emma aside, but he calls her aside not really, like Jake like actually brought her to like a different place. Thomas did this in front of actually everyone. He went up to her and he's like, hey, and she's like, what's up? And he's like, you've been totally looking at me recently with these eyes. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it doesn't matter. Will you be my girlfriend? And he just kind of like looks at her with like these eyes. He's like, huh? Will you? What do you say? And she's like, Okay, here's the thing. She wouldn't have said yes anyways, but she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And at this point, his face drops. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm actually just got in a relationship with someone. And he's like, who? Yeah, and Emma's like, yeah, Jake. And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, I know Jake just asked me out, and we just got together like literally today. Like, I'm sorry, like I just got in a relationship. Obviously, she's using this as a cop out because she was gonna say no anyways. So this is like the nicest way she can say no. But and then the thing is though, Thomas doesn't take this well. The way that Thomas perceived this whole thing going down was that no. She didn't say no because like he was undateable, or because she didn't want to. She said no because she really wanted to. She wanted him, but she simply couldn't because she was stuck in a relationship with Jake. And this made Thomas so mad, and you could see his face get so red, and he took his little hand and he like balled it up in a fist, and he was like, where is Thomas? I'm really bad at this whole name thing. Of course, Thomas didn't say, where is Thomas? Thomas said, where is Jake? And Jake like just happened to like walk in, like just wherever they were, hallway, room, whatever, or just gathering place. He just happened to like walk in as that was happening, and he looks up and he sees like Emma, his girlfriend of like 25 minutes at this point, right? And then like Thomas, the kid that like he knew that was like kind of like weird and kind of like out of this, like just lived in a different planet, looking at him with this like face of rage. And Jake was just like, oh boy. Speaking of rage, today's keyword or special or secret phrase or whatever you want to call it is rage. So yeah, if you made it this far into the video, comment rage down below. I'll be hearting as many of those comments as I see. I obviously can't get to them all, but I will do my very best to try and heart as many as I can. So if you want to farm some hearts on the channel, maybe get top commenter, best shot of that happening is by commenting rage down below. Also, every once in a while, I'll shout out a channel member who leaves a comment on the video. So yeah, on screen, thank you very much. You guys can also become a channel member by hitting the join button, but honestly, you guys don't have to do that. I just appreciate you watching this far. I really do. And also, to show you my gratitude, every single person who leaves a like on today's video, just dropping a like on the video, will receive nothing. I know you're probably just like, if you're standing up, you fell down. If you're sitting in a seat, you literally collapsed out of your seat. It's a fantastic deal. Leaving a like on the video and you get nothing? I'm gonna leave a like right now. Anyways, right, so where we left off was Thomas just got rejected by Emma. And in Thomas's mind, it is Jake's fault. Emma actually is still in love with him, but it's all because of Jake. He can't have her because of Jake. He like goes up to Jake and he's like, bro. And Jake's like, what's up, dude? He's like, bro, do you want to fight? I love it when people are just like, do you want to fight, man? Like, no one wants to fight. No one's going to box you. You're not KSI and Logan Paul. No one's going to watch it. Just why, dude? Like, whatever, right, tangent. He's like, do you want to fight, bro? And Jake's like, dude, what? And then Thomas is like, yo, Emma rejected me because of you. And Jake's like, dude, she rejected you because you're a jerk. Jake had no filter, right? Like, good kid, but like no filter. He's like, you're always annoying. You're always bragging about stuff. You're always full of it. Like, even if she wasn't with me, like, unlucky to you, but even if she wasn't with me, she would have said no. And at this point, Thomas just goes berserk. And he just looks at Jake and he's like, you know what my dad does? And at this point, Jake is like, dude, I do not care. And Thomas is like, no, he is a very good lawyer. And he's going to sue you, dude. And Jake is just looking at him, just completely just flabbergasted. Just like, did this kid just say that his dad is actually going to sue me because my girlfriend denied his love application? What the fuck? What? Like, at this point, he kind of thought it was a joke, but no, he looked at this kid, this Thomas, he could see it in this kid's Thomas's eyes, right? This was no joke. This kid was mad, and he was like, yeah, my dad's gonna sue you, man. He's gonna sue you. You're gonna have nothing left. Your mom's gonna have nothing left. Your dad's gonna have nothing left. Your sister's gonna have nothing left. Your dog's gonna have nothing left. And then you're gonna collapse and die of a heart attack out of pain and sadness and whatever. And then your grave is gonna have nothing left. He was just going off and off and off. And Jake is like, okay. And that made Thomas so mad. He was like, this won't be the last of it, Jake. And he just like storms off. And at this point, the whole class is just like, what the fuck? What? And Emma's just like, okay. And Jake's like, you know what? Do you want to go on our first date tonight? Do you want to get out of here? It was like close to the end of school anyways. And Emma's like, yeah, I think I will. Subscribe if you haven't already, and now go click on another video. There's some on screen. Click. Dude, why have you not clicked?